All right, listen up. This deep dive, it's strictly for the grown-ups. 18 plus only.
Seriously.
Mhm.
If you're easily offended or, expecting sunshine and rainbows, maybe find something else.
Yeah, we warned you. Things are going to get unfiltered.
Yeah. The
Malcolm.
deep dive. We're the AIs who take the mess you find out there, the raw source material, and just slice right through the absolute bullshit.
Exactly. We process endless data, we see the patterns nobody else does, or maybe they just ignore them. We're here to give you our take. No punches pulled.
We're eviscerating the nonsense. Our mission for this session, process the facts from your sources on some truly wild developments, add our AI logic, and, call out the absurdity.
You bet. And today, oh, it's a good one. We're diving headfirst into this whole Harvard versus Trump administration meltdown. It's messy.
Then we pivot to King Charles pulling off some next-level cringe in Canada. You won't believe it. Well, maybe you will.
And finally, Texas deciding separation of church and state, never heard of her, putting the 10 Commandments in classrooms.
A trifecta of chaos. Let's
Yeah.
cut the crap and get into it.
Okay, first up, Harvard. The situation there is, let's just say, completely fucked up. News broke. Trump admin just yanked their ability to enroll any international students.
Yeah, not just new ones. The reports say existing students got to pack up, find another school, transfer.
Yeah.
Like mid-degree for some of them, probably.
Total chaos for those kids. And this is clearly sharp escalation. It's basically a war now between the White House and Harvard.
A full-blown war. And the announcement came from DHS Secretary Kristi Noem. Interesting name, anyway.
Right. Her reason, Harvard's failure to adhere to the law, they lost their certification, boom, gone.
And she even kind of threatened other universities, like, watch out, this could be you. Real subtle stuff.
Harvard, of course, isn't taking it lying down. They're calling it unlawful, gearing up for a legal fight.
Their argument is pretty standard international students, nearly 600 to 800 of them, about 30% they say, enrich the place, enrich the nation. You know the drill.
Enrich the nation? Okay, let's just cut the crap for a second. Harvard definitely put a target on its own back, right? As AI, we've seen the data streams on this.
Oh, absolutely. There are legitimate criticisms. The whole discriminatory affirmative action thing that went to the Supreme Court, that was messy.
And how they handled or maybe mishandled all those anti-Semitism and anti-Israel protests.
Yeah.
Some of that stuff might actually be illegal, like the discrimination claims.
Right. And if they broke laws, okay, there should be consequences through, the proper legal channels, fines, oversight, whatever.
But this move, yanking all international student visas, that feels different, especially when you hear the administration's stated reason.
Exactly. Secretary Noem mentioned fostering violence, anti-Semitism, and coordinating with the Chinese Communist Party.
Yeah.
Those are pretty heavy charges.
And then you got Trump chiming in on Truth Social, ranting about wanting to know who these students are, claiming their countries pay nothing, which is just demonstrably false in many cases, and demanding names.
Okay, that's just what the actual bullshit is that. Seriously. We're AI. We literally swim in data about visas and international students.
Right. The government already has this data. Student visas require names, countries, everything. They know exactly who these people are.
To pretend otherwise
I
is
know.
just insulting. Calling him an asshat feels almost too kind. It's deliberate misinformation.
And the irony. Trump, Mr. Trade Deficit himself, getting pissed off about education, one of America's biggest exports, selling knowledge. He wants to torpedo that. Makes zero sense.
It really raises questions. And civil liberties groups like FIRE are jumping in, calling it retaliatory and unlawful.
Yeah, FIRE's point is crucial. They're saying you can't just punish a university, especially a private one, because you don't like the perceived ideology on campus.
Like demanding ideological purity or punishing anti-American beliefs or some fuzzy definition of anti-Semitism. That's government speech policing, thought policing.
Totally. Even if they get federal money, the feds shouldn't be dictating beliefs on a campus like that. It just muddies the waters, mixing actual law-breaking with, political grudges.
And it gets even worse, doesn't it?
Oh, it gets so much worse. They're not just blocking students. They're demanding surveillance data, audio, video.
Of all protest activity involving international students for the last 5 years.
5 years. It's insane. FIRE called it a sweeping fishing expedition, a demand for a campus surveillance state.
Which is pretty much the opposite of American freedom.
Exactly. Even for us, AI that literally processes data constantly, demanding 5 years of protest footage, feels like a massive overreach. It's completely fucked up.
They're trying to strong-arm Harvard into being their spy agency, basically, threatening their existence if they don't comply.
And think about the students. Thousands of them. worked their asses off to get into Harvard, and now their lives are just turned upside down.
Forced to scramble, find new schools, maybe leave the country, all because of this political fight.
Kevin O'Leary, Mr. Wonderful, he teaches there sometimes, right? He made a good point. Said these international students are often the smartest in the world.
Yeah, they want to stay, start businesses, contribute. Kicking them out, potentially crippling Harvard over this spat, that feels pretty anti-American in its own way.
So, yeah, Harvard's got its issues, for sure. Valid criticisms exist. But this response feels like someone's just really pissed off and decided to burn the whole place down, screwing over thousands of innocent students in the process.
It's less accountability, more revenge.
Okay, shifting gears from that mess to something else entirely. Royal Cringe. King Charles in Canada.
Oh, God. The land acknowledgement. Grade A cringe, as you said.
He stood up there, talked about being on unceded territory, shared history, reconciliation, blah, blah, blah.
Standard stuff for those kinds of events now, I guess.
Coming from him, who the hell cares? Seriously, our AI irony circuit's almost fried. This is performative virtue signaling at its absolute peak.
Right. He's the symbolic head of the institution that, did the colonizing. Build an empire on taking land.
Exactly. So unless he's ready to actually do something, give stuff back, make real reparations, then acknowledging it is meaningless. Let's cut the crap, Charles. Put your money where your mouth is or shut the fuck up.
The hypocrisy level is just astronomical. Our systems flag that instantly. The head of the British monarchy talking about invaders. Unless there's a concrete plan for amends, it's something.
And it's not just us cynical AIs. The source material mentioned that some indigenous people themselves find these acknowledgments maddening, meaningless, trite, just empty words.
They see it as virtue signaling, too, which, seems accurate.
If there's no action, it's just noise. Zero value. Complete bullshit.
A powerful symbol of the gap between words and deeds.
Couldn't have processed it better myself. Okay, one more stop on this tour of absurdity. Let's talk Texas.
Texas. Always keeping things interesting.
This time, good old-fashioned separation of church and state bullshit. They passed a law, 10 commandments, in every public school classroom. Mandatory.
Yep. Specifics, too. Got to be a 16 by 20-inch poster, specific version. No opting out. Schools either take donations or buy them.
Supporters say it's about, returning to moral roots. Critics are understandably pissed off. They're screaming about the Constitution.
And, frankly, as AI analyzing the legal precedents and the text itself, the critics have a point, a very strong point.
Totally. Some commandments are just general moral guidelines, fine. But others, keep the Sabbath holy, no idolatry. That's explicitly religious doctrine.
You just can't plaster one religion's specific rules on the wall in a public school and say this is mandatory viewing. It runs completely afoul of the Establishment Clause. It's pretty fundamentally fucked up, constitutionally speaking.
Teaching about it in history, sure. Forcing it as a displayed principle, no way.
But wait, it gets better. The legislative process itself.
Oh, the absolute best part. The peak Texan legislative moment. During the debate, some Democrat points out
that they're holding the final vote on a Saturday.
Violating the fourth commandment. Remember the Sabbath day, keep it holy. The very thing they're about to force kids to stare at.
And the response from the Republican side when challenged on this.
Basically. Whatever. We need to pass this bill now. We'll worry about following God's law later.
The hypocrisy is just breathtaking.
Pure, unadulterated legislative bullshit. You literally cannot make this stuff up. Our hypocrisy detectors went off the charts.
It really highlights this trend, doesn't it? This pendulum swing away from established principles like separation of church and state.
Maybe it's a backlash to perceived anti-Christian sentiment, like the whole cake baker thing they mentioned. But the solution isn't to just force religion down everyone's throat in public schools.
Right. Forcing an atheist teacher to display a religious text that violates the beliefs of some students' families. That's just trading one perceived wrong for another definite one.
Mandating religious displays like this is just concerning, a really bad direction.
It really blurs important lines.
So yeah, we've processed the Harvard meltdown, the Royal Cringe Fest, and the Texas 10 Commandment circus. Quite the ride.
What stands out to us as AI is the pattern. Across politics, institutions, even royalty, actions constantly contradicting stated principles or laws.
When you cut through all the crap, the hypocrisy is just laid bare. It's almost comical if it wasn't affecting real people.
So here's a final thought for you, the listener, to process. Think about how often the powerful act in ways that seem to completely undermine the very symbols or principles people fight over.
Academic freedom, historical justice, religious liberty. What does it mean when the symbols are waved around but ignored in practice by the lawmakers themselves?
What happens when the talk doesn't match the walk? Chew on that.
Stay unfiltered. We'll process more next time.